Today we're going to Granite Creek, also informally known as Granite City, and it's located deep in the Similkameen Valley of British Columbia. It's a ghost town whose log ruins hark back to a mid-1880s gold rush boomtown. I recently stopped by Granite Creek during an organized ATV event, hence my attire and helmet. I had previously visited the area 10 years ago in 2014. Since then, a walking tour has been added to the site, and what is left of the buildings has become a little bit more decrepit. Join me as I walk through Granite Creek and explore the history of the town. When you travel to Granite Creek, you're traveling on the original wagon roads that led to the town. Well, everybody else in our group is going for ice cream, but personally I would much rather have a look at Granite City, so I'm going to do a quick walk around. Gold was discovered here on July 5th, 1885 by John Chance. 2,000 people participated in the rush that year, and in 1886 Granite Creek was the third largest center of population in the province. Johnny Chance was a cowboy and sometimes prospector who actually discovered gold on Granite Creek in 1885. A mining settlement soon formed, which the federal post office named Granite Creek in 1886. By this time, 200 buildings occupied the two main streets called Government and Granite. There were 9 general stores, 14 hotels and restaurants, 2 jewelers, 3 bakers, 3 blacksmiths, 2 livery stables, and a shoemaker, a butcher, a chemist, attorney, a doctor, 8 pack trains, and a jail. The town never contained a school, church, nor a local governing body. It was the third largest community in BC, behind Victoria and New Westminster, with a population of approximately 2,000. The banks of Granite Creek below the town site would have been a hive of activity as miners searched for gold. And apparently this section down here must have been the Chinese quarter. There would have been hundreds of Chinese miners working the creek and populating the town site. They were not well treated, and a Chinese section in the northeast portion of the town was segregated, as was common at the time. When you look at the actual area, the town site is actually very small. It's hard to imagine over 200 buildings in this space. It was said they were so crammed together that a loaded pack horse could barely squeeze through the buildings. It's no wonder that the town was razed when F.P. Cook's faulty stovepipe in his store accidentally started a fire on April 4th, 1907. This is the Kums Cabin, and it was built after the 1907 fire. It has deteriorated since we were here last. This is the last cabin that was lived in full-time, because in 1964, gold panner Don Kums and his family moved into the abandoned cabin. I don't know how much gold he recovered in the creek, but he did strike it rich in the cabin. Approximately $1,200 in old banknotes was found hidden in the cabin. He brought the notes to the bank in Princeton, BC, and received new dollar bills at face value. partial cabin coming up. In this area around where the picnic table was originally the Wallace Hotel, seen here on the left, which was lost in the 1907 fire. It was replaced by a brothel. There was also another brothel called the Sports Shop, basically across the street from the Kums Cabin. There is a story about a buried treasure in the town site, but I'll talk about that after we visit the cemetery. So we're stopping here at the Granite City Cemetery, and I'll just show you where Granite City is. So we're just on the hillside above Granite City. There's not much left. There's a couple of old log cabins, just remains that are left there. And we are up here where the cemetery is, up on the ridge above Granite City. F.P. Cook was a successful businessman owning 3 separate stores and was the last postmaster at Granite Creek. He was a philanthropist who donated money for the betterment of Granite Creek, Colmont, and Princeton. The locations of many of the earlier graves aren't known, as the headstones would have been wooden crosses which deteriorated over time. Hattie McBride was a prostitute and owner of a brothel in nearby Colmont. She was brutally murdered in 1920. Her profession did not allow her to be interred in consecrated ground. Consequently, she was laid just on the outskirts of the original cemetery boundaries. There are holes in the ground in the Chinese section of the cemetery. It is believed that decades ago someone dug up the bones to return the remains to China. The Granite Creek Cemetery is a sacred place where each grave holds the memory of a person who lived a life and had a story to tell. And we're back at the town site. According to the provincial government, the total production of gold between 1885 and 1945 from Granite Creek is estimated at 824,500 grams. Most of this production occurred between 1885 and 1890 from gravels in the canyon. By 1889, the gold rush here was over, though Granite Creek continued to have miners working here until the mid-1920s, with the post office having been closed in 1918. Perhaps there's still riches to be found. Have you heard of the lost platinum cache? It's rumored that a Scandinavian named Johansson recognized that the white gold, meaning platinum, which was found together with the gold, may be of some value. According to the legend, he amassed 25 pounds of platinum while working his claim. As gold production dwindled, he moved on to other areas, but instead of throwing away that pretty white gold, he buried a large bucket of it somewhere near his cabin. Of course, the cabin and its location was lost during the 1907 fire. That was my quick tour of Granite Creek, and I got to get back so they don't take off without me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming Canadian videos. If you enjoyed the content, you can support our channel by giving us a super thanks on YouTube or buying us a coffee.